everybody, and welcome back, friends. Tom Snyder here for the Nightside hour of the radio show. The nightly hour of you and TS all alone on the telephones. For the new listeners, the toll-free exchange is 800-248-0852. That is 800-248-0852. In repeat programming tonight, if your station repeats or delays, 2 great hours, my friends. Molly Ivins from Austin, Texas, great writer and columnist, and the days of Amos and Andy on Big Time Radio. All of it for October 9, 1991. Hit it. Today I'm riding around in a car and I'm listening. You know how you jump around stations? I'm looking for the ball game today, Toronto and Minnesota, which cranked up at noon Pacific time. By the way, if you're a baseball fan, I know you hate scores. Geez, I love to give. Remember, I used to give scores here all the time, and they're in the 9th at Yankee Stadium. So I love that. But then the listener says, "Look, we don't want this sports scores, you know." 5-2. So what does he do? He gives scores. 5-2 Minnesota over, or Toronto over Minnesota, and 5-1 Pittsburgh over Atlanta in the championship series games today. So I'm riding around and I hit one of the buttons, and on comes psychobabble, I call it. This is a woman who's guiding people through life and what to do with their sexual problems, their love problems. You know, the husband can't get along with the wife can't. I call it psychobabble. It's all this nut stuff on radio. Hi, doctor, I can't have an orgasm. And then they do 20 minutes on that. You know, it's craziness. So today a woman is calling up. Now, I can't believe I'm hearing this. She's calling up. She's saying that she got home one night from work, went to bed, got up in the morning, and she got out a video cassette. She wanted to show the kids a movie. This woman works at night, okay, and she wants to show the kids a movie, and of course up comes Debbie Does Dallas, or one of these XXX, things, where it's all over the screen. So now she calls her husband in, and she what's going on here? And I'm very sorry, he said, I meant to put it away, and I didn't put it where the kids couldn't get it, and So now the question to the psychiatrist on the air today, the psychobabble, is number one, what is the damage that's going to take place to my kids from seeing this kind of stuff for 2 seconds? And secondly, how dare he have a pornographic videotape in the house that I don't know about? So the psychobabblist worked through the thing that go get a book for the kids on sex at some store and show it to them and let them know that it's God and creation and mother and father and babies, and they're going to be fine, because when a kid sees this sort of thing, all he or she wants to know is what's going on here. They want information about what's happening. Now they get to the larger question of what the punishment should be for the husband staying home watching Debbie Does Dallas on the video while she's at the Five and Dime working nights until 11 o'clock. How dare he sit home at night and watch a nudie cutie, and I'm in there, selling thread and sweaters and whatnot at the 5 and 10 cent until 11 o'clock at night. And so the psychobabblist says, well, what do you want? While you're at work, is she supposed to be home alone and miserable? And she said yes. This goes on the airwaves in America. Jeez. The other one I read today in the paper was the thing about the sexual harassment charges. And I don't want to lead phone calls, but I'm sure they're going to talk. Yeah, you're going to talk about this. And that's okay. It's a big, big story. Friday morning, they cranked this thing up in Washington. I guess 10 o'clock is the time when Joe Biden and the members of the Judiciary Committee will begin hearing testimony from Professor Renita Hill and nominee Clarence Thomas about what he said and what she said about what he did and what she says he did and he says he didn't. And there was a long take in the LA paper this morning about how do you figure out who's telling the truth? You can't have lie detectors up there. You can't have galvanometers where they measure the sweat in the palms to tell who's telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? They have all these devices. How are these guys on the Judiciary Committee, these 9 men, going to determine who is telling the truth and who is not? And how is America supposed to make any kind of decision as to which is the correct version and which is the incorrect version? And here is the chilling part of this whole hearing. And it dawned on me when I read this and think about this. It said, the person who will be judged correct is the person who does the best job of creating appearances on television. The one who does the best job on TV is going to be the winner. Now, is that a great way to pick a Supreme Court justice nominee? That we now decide that whoever does it best for television is the one that's telling the truth, and whoever looks bad is the guilty one? Geez. Sometimes don't you wish they never would have invented television if this is what it's going to be used for, to decide who's telling the truth and who's not? They say the camera doesn't lie. Ha! Geez, did you watch the last political campaign when the guy says, I won't raise your taxes, read my lips, the camera doesn't lie? Come on. The camera, the camera doesn't lie. The people on the camera lie, and they make it look good when they do it. But I thought to myself, geez, if it comes down to where we are now going to decide who's telling the truth, Clarence Thomas or Anita Hill, based upon who does the best job on television, friends, the Republic is in jeopardy. The Republic is in jeopardy. Back with all of you on the toll-free exchange, 800-248-0852, back after these messages.
Now, there's a math course on cassettes called Hooked on Math, which makes learning math simple. Simple because Hooked on Math is set to music. This way kids learn quickly, like words to a song. And when they master addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, they'll go right to the head of the class. If you want your preschooler to excel, or if there's an older student who needs help with math, call 1-800-ABCDEFG, 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Hi, Jim Summers for Value Right Pharmacies. Seeing is believing, but when it comes to eye care, Value Right has values that you may find hard to believe. This week, participating Value Rights have 16 Bausch & Lomb Renew Thermal or 20 enzymatic cleaning tablets for $5.89, and 12-ounce saline is also $5.89. Use only as directed. Just look in the yellow pages for Value Right Pharmacies, where you'll always find great American values. You've got to see these values to believe them.
Hi, Jack Frost here. You know, before I get too busy with a hard freeze, I wanted to make sure you get to Sears Brand Central, because right now the AT&T cordless telephone 4300 is on sale at Sears, lowest price ever. Just $69.99, save $10 through October 12th. It's got 2-channel selection from the handset, and you can page the handset from the base. Now just $69.99 at Sears Brand Central, the brand you want at the store you trust. Boy, I'd love one. Then I could just call you guys. I mean, once you get to know me, Jack Frost, I'm a pretty cool guy.
If you've always wanted a powerful vocabulary, but found most programs boring, try We the People, the cassette program that combines college-level vocabulary with American history. So now, while developing a dynamite vocabulary, you'll become an expert on American history. Get We the People, the vocabulary program that teaches more than just vocabulary. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Okay, and just a reminder to all the guys who run the television networks who do not hear the clock ticking yet. HBO cranked up Ghost on Sunday night. In homes that have both commercial television and cable, HBO scored a 30.6 rating, not share, 30.6 rating on Sunday night with the premiere of Ghost. So, you know, if the Tishes and the Wrights and the Murphys don't hear the clock ticking back at those networks, then they better get the hearing aid out, because bad days are coming when cable performs like that. In Los Angeles, the chief engineer and technical director of the radio show tonight, in the absence of Bob DePriest, is Michael Stark. The program in Southern California is produced by Paula Schuster, Debbie Alpert, and Lisa Erspalmer. Back in New York tonight, we have the able assistance of Beaumont Small and Ralph DeLees. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, here and there. And thanks to all of you, the board ops and chief engineers at the stations across North America that keep us on the air. I appreciate your help and support in the production and presentation of the Wednesday night radio show. The parade begins with Mark in Orlando, Florida. Hello.
Tom, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Very interesting to hear that music. I'm an organist.
And you think we're not psychic, huh? Listen, we come in, we hit the marks, and we get the job done.
You sure do.
Thank you.
Well, I haven't talked to you in maybe 3-4 months, or maybe 5 months by now. And I wanted to just very quickly comment about Clarence Thomas' fiasco with Anita Hill.
Okay.
It's funny how she came up with these allegations the day before he's supposed to be confirmed.
No, that's not correct. No. The Judiciary Committee knew about these allegations.
They leaked it.
No, but the Judiciary Committee knew about this 3 weeks ago. When the witness was before the committee under interrogation, they had the information. And she did not come up with the allegations. She was sought out after a third party informed the committee and the FBI that there might be instances of sexual harassment, and they might want to talk to a professor at Norman, Oklahoma, named Anita Hill. Now that we have something as stupid as the facts on the table, please proceed.
Okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't have opened my big mouth.
Well,
moving along.
No, but what is your take on this? What do you think? You see, I think this sinks Thomas. I don't think he has a prayer.
Well, I tend to agree with you, but I think it's sad that, first of all, from what I understand from the electronic media, was that this woman followed Thomas through at least 3 job positions. I mean, she worked with him at the EEOC, I believe, and
that's correct.
I think at 2 other places, either prior to that or afterwards.
Prior to that they worked together at the Department of Education. In fact, there are many people who believe that he was her mentor and that he was very instrumental in bringing her along in her chosen profession.
And when he got married, she sent him a congratulatory note, et cetera, et cetera.
That is correct.
It's odd that if he actually tried to harass this woman, then why would she follow him from job to job and send him a best wishes note for getting married, so on, congratulations, et cetera, et cetera. It's just...
I have the unerring feeling that these questions will be asked of Professor Hill at the hearings on Friday. I certainly hope they are.
Yeah, I hope so, too.
All right, Mark.
Well, quickly, very quickly.
Yeah.
I just bought Billboard today after having not purchased that for a long time either. I'm also in the record business.
Yeah.
And it had a full-page ad on our man, Barry White, and just wanted to raise the question again when he might be on the show again.
That's a very good question. We keep trying, and we'll keep trying. I think he's traveling right now, but he's always welcome. He's been here twice, and we'd love to have him come back.
One stupid question.
Yeah.
Only because I don't know.
Yeah.
Miles Davis, did you ever have him on your show?
To my recollection, no.
Oh, that's too bad.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. George in Oak Lawn, Illinois. Hello.
Tom.
Yes, sir.
One of the most hideous social phenomenons that I find that's come down over the last few years is this concept of political correctness.
It's awful.
I really think it's destroying society, and it's totally perverted the whole political system in this country. And where do you think it started? Do you think it started with this obscene amount of over-litigation and the over-lawyering that we have in this country? What do you think it started? It had to have started someplace. I just know that I myself and the people I look around and I read in the newspapers, watch on TV, you just don't have that freedom of speech like you had as recently as 10, 20, even 25 years ago.
That is correct.
Some people will argue, well, we've progressed. I don't think so. I think we've regressed. I think everybody's so scared of saying anything out of line, being branded a racist or insensitive or a homophobe, that everybody clams up and we don't have any free exchange of ideas anymore.
Well, you see, you just put your finger on it. Where this started is everywhere in America. First of all, it started with people bifurcating themselves. All of a sudden, we were not Americans. We were gay Americans. We were black Americans, female Americans, African Americans, Polish Americans, German Americans. Instead of being one people, we become about 15 or 20 different peoples in this country, and we're always sniping at each other.
Right.
We're always whining. I saw a guy on CNBC said, I'm tired of all the damn whining in this country. The women are whining, and in some parts of the country, white males are whining, blacks are whining, the homosexual community is whining. Geez, I'm coming home last night at 10:30 at night, and there are, I didn't count them, but there had to be 500 to 1,000 homosexuals on Ventura Boulevard in Coldwater Canyon at quarter of 11 at night, screaming about Assembly Bill 101, which was vetoed by the governor and does not give homosexuals, in their view, certain rights. Geez, don't. And tonight, by the way, they're at LAX, the International Airport, jumping up and down, screaming and whining.
Another thing, we've hit absolutely rock bottom now.
And if you say one thing about people demonstrating in public places at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night as an inconvenience to people or tying up the airport, then you're against homosexuals. Not at all. I'm just saying that it's not appropriate to shut down an airport. That, protest does not, free speech does not give you the right to deny access or egress to somebody else.
You're right. Another thing, we've hit rock bottom, too. We've finally succeeded through our politicians and our pressure groups and everything to totally pit men against women and women against men now.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. And by the way, by the way, this thing with Thomas and Hill is not helping men and women get along.
No.
Because all of a sudden, if you notice, all the women are lining up with each other, and all the guys are lining up with each other, and here comes the war again.
You know, I feel the tension in the office. You can actually cut it with a knife. Things are getting tense in the office.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
When is this going to end? I'm scared to think what this country is going to be like in a year or even 6 months.
And I'll tell you what really is the pitiful thing of it all is that this country is losing one of its greatest assets, and that's our sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
We are losing our ability to laugh amongst ourselves, and in some cases to laugh at ourselves at the folly of the human condition. It's
I was
terrible.
listening to your guest in the last hour there with the Amos and Andy book that he's got.
Yeah.
Case in point. I mean, what is so awful about that show that wasn't exemplified in, say, Sanford and Son? You got the same Kingfish character and said Fred Sanford there.
That's right.
You've got on TV now, Amen, with Sherman Hemsley. Same character. You know, they owe their roots to Kingfish.
But I'll tell you, you can't say anymore. You can't. In some cases, if you say of a black man, you know, he lost his job because he wasn't any good. No, you're racist. He lost it because he was black.
That's my point.
Or she wasn't hired because she's a woman. Not that she was no good. Or, you know, white men have no chance. We're discriminated against by minorities, and they get all the affirmative action. Hey, maybe you weren't good enough for the... But nobody... Here it is in a nutshell. And I'm talking in shorthand, forgive me. There are few people in this country today who want to take responsibility for their own situation. They want to blame everybody else for the situation they're in. And they never look in the mirror and say, hey, fella, you put yourself there, now you get yourself out.
Pains me to say this, but I think we're headed towards another civil war. The Russians were never a threat as much as we were to ourselves.
You got it. Thanks.
Take care, Tom.
Good night, George. Bye-bye. We will continue with more of the sayings of Chairman Tom. I'm sorry, I get on the box here once in a while and I go nuts. But only because I dearly love this country and I hate to see what we're doing to it. We are really screwing this thing up. We'll be right back after a station break.
It's time for the Sears Home Sale, when you can get some of the lowest prices of the year on beautiful Sears home furnishings, like the lowest prices of the year on a wide selection of carpets. Save $12 a yard installed on rich DuPont Stainmaster shimmering woods carpet in 28 decorator colors. And get not one, but 2 of our best-selling swivel rockers for just $299.99. And get an ottoman absolutely free. But hurry, the sale ends October 26th. So get to Sears' huge home sale and rake in the savings now.
The Federal Jobs Digest is a newspaper that publishes civil service job information. Every issue lists over 20,000 immediate openings in all occupations at salaries up to $78,000 without tests. These include jobs in your area. A subscription to the Federal Jobs Digest costs $29. To order, call now, 1-800-543-5700. Again, 1-800-543-5700.
Can do it with True Value.
Hi, this is Pat Summerall. And their October True Value of the Month is a Master Mechanic 17-piece socket set for just $9.44. It's the quarter-inch drive set with heat-treated steel sockets, extensions, a quick-release ratchet, and a metal storage box. In October, get the Master Mechanic 17-piece socket set for just $9.44 while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Hi, Jim Summers for Value Right Pharmacies. Some people measure Value Right's success by the yard or the mile, but I choose to measure their success by the foot, especially this week, since participating Value Rights have Dr. Scholl's Backguard foot pads for $6.99 a pair, or 2 pairs of warm ease pads for just $5. Just look in the yellow pages for Value Right Pharmacies, where you'll always find great American values, and where 2 feet can go a long way towards happiness.
I'm a bricklayer. If I was outside and the sun was beating down on me, it used to dry my skin out. And it used to make my arms itchy, rashes on my arms, my legs.
Lawrence Lanzilli of Hallandale, Florida, is telling us about Triple Action Gold Bond Medicated Powder.
My mother always used Gold Bond. Gold Bond helped the pain, helped the itches.
Gold Bond's triple action is the absorbing action of powder, the medicating action of a proven itch fighter, and the drying action of zinc oxide.
Gold Bond's my product.
Try triple action Gold Bond medicated powder. Use only as directed.
Now, there's a math course on cassettes called Hooked on Math, which makes learning math simple. Simple because Hooked on Math is set to music. This way kids learn quickly, like words to a song. And when they master addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, they'll go right to the head of the class. If you want your preschooler to excel, or if there's an older student who needs help with math, call 1-800-ABCDEFG, 1-800-ABCDEFG.
You're listening to Service 60 WICC. Okay, we're back to Paul, this time in Topeka, Kansas. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yes.
How are you, young man?
You're the best.
Thank you.
Keep up the chairman, Tom. I like it.
Okay.
Listen, I had called you last spring about a guy who was kicked out of Georgetown Law School for publishing the affirmative action policies, specifically lowered admission standards and quotas for blacks.
Yes, sir. I recall the conversation.
Okay. Well, as Paul Harvey said...
the rest of the story.
I've got the rest of the story.
Okay.
Update. He got readmitted. He had to grovel before this committee of moral mandarins, and then he had to undergo sensitivity training, and then he had to print this fawning letter of apology in the school paper.
But he got back in.
And after that, they did let him back in, so he didn't have to miss because it was over the summer vacation. He'll be able to graduate with his class.
I'm glad.
Now, one more thing.
Yep.
You're supposed to say one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing.
I get cut off on your show. You get preempted for so many. Tonight it was baseball, but as soon as baseball ends, we got football and all that.
Yep.
And I was going to make a suggestion that if you'd get 4 or 5 like clear channel stations that would give you preference, you could cover virtually for the whole country for those of us that are hooked on TF.
I understand. How about WLS out of Chicago?
They got the baseball on.
What, WLS has baseball?
They had you preempted. I just believe it was. That's
boy, I don't think WLS Chicago would carry baseball.
Well, where I usually get them on the dial,
790.
I was getting baseball. It is possible that wasn't true, but in any case, why can't I? That last guy talked about Amos and Andy. Why can't I ask you a question, because I missed most of the program. I just got in on the last.
Yeah, you can if you want. It's just that, the guest is not here for Amos and Andy. You know that. That part of the show's over. That you know.
Yeah, I figured that. And no, your girl said like there was some kind of a rule against that. Well, what I was going to ask you...
All right, I'll tell you what you do. You got to hold on, pal. Jeez. And she's not my girl. She's the producer of the program. Her name is Paula. Jeez. As long as we're going to be correct here, let's be correct. Facts. He comes in, he hits the mark, he gets the job done. Satisfy the listener. We'll be right back. Jeez. You're on the radio show, and I'm Tom Snyder on Service 60 WICC.
Okay, identify this. Yep, it's a dying refrigerator. Gave its life for cold cuts. Fortunately, if you weren't emotionally attached, Sears Brand Central can replace it. Until Saturday, there's a Kenmore 18 cubic foot top mount for $419 even. Save $30. All frostless, too. Believe me, that's a real good price for a Kenmore. But it's just till Saturday at Sears Brand Central. The brands you want at the store you trust. Prices may vary in Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico.
It's the Sears Home Sale, when you can get beautiful home furnishings at some of the lowest prices of the year. Like big, thirsty, 100% cotton bath towels for an unbelievably low $2.99 while quantities last. The lowest price around for a towel of this size and weight. And Sears has mattresses starting as low as $69.88 for the twin size, plus all the best names like Sealy and Spring Air. Get to Sears Home Sale while the selection is up and the prices are down. But hurry, the sale ends October 26th.
Are you an inventor? Or do you know an inventor who would like to have an invention or idea submitted to industry? For free information on how to proceed, phone 1-800-727-IDEA. Invention Submission Corporation, one of America's largest invention service organizations, has an inventor's kit you can have free. It contains a form for recording your invention's date of origination, plus an informative brochure and other material of interest to new inventors. Get your free kit by dialing 1-800-727-IDEA, IDEA. That's 727-IDEA. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you will want this free inventor's kit. It shows you how your invention may be packaged and submitted to industry through a data bank and by various other means. It's a free call, so dial 1-800, then 727-IDEA. That's 727-IDEA.
WICC 60's Ask the Governor radio show features Governor Lowell Weicker live from Hartford. Tune in Thursday night at 7. Share with the governor what's on your mind. It's your chance to ask the governor. The winning numbers for last evening, the Connecticut Daily 608, the Play 4 6029, and the Service 60 WICC forecast for the early morning hours. Clear to partly cloudy skies, lows 50 to 55. For the rest of the day, sunshine giving way to some clouds late in the day. Continued mild weather, highs about 70. For tonight, increasing clouds, maybe a shower later tonight, lows 50 to 55. And the outlook for tomorrow, Friday, a morning shower, otherwise becoming partly sunny and seasonably warm, highs around 65. Currently, it's 58 degrees at your weather station, Service 60 WICC. Once again, those winning numbers for last evening, the Daily 608, the Play 4 6029. And now we take you back to TS, Tom Snyder, and the radio show.
Okay, Paul, on Amos and Andy, go ahead quickly, sir.
Yeah, this was a station down in Texas several years ago had mentioned, it was one of those that played the old-time radio shows. They had One Man's Family, Fibber McGee, Molly, and, you know, all of them, and people would call in and ask for different ones.
Gotcha.
This guy, what he had said, I don't know if your guest mentioned this or if you know anything about it. I'm curious if he was right. This radio announcer in Texas had said that they could not air the Amos and Andy for the reason that these stations, every so many years, their license comes up for renewal.
Right.
And if they have been airing these Amos and Andy radio shows, then this comes up in this hearing that they're like insensitive to minorities and they can actually lose their license.
No, I think that's stretching the point.
I don't know. I think he didn't mention anything about that.
I think that's stretching the point. No, we did not discuss that at all tonight.
Well, I wish I'd have gotten in earlier, but that's the way it goes. Nice talking.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. Dwayne in Lowell, Indiana. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Dwayne.
I don't know if you remember me. I used to call in a lot back about a year ago.
Yeah, and then you went away for a while.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. But I wanted to call, something you touched on a little earlier was about the FCC. You know, we have this department of the government here.
That's right, the Federal Communications Commission.
Yeah, they're supposed to regulate what's on the airwaves. Where are they?
Well, they're not supposed to regulate what's on the airwaves, but they are supposed to monitor radio and television stations to ensure that they are operating in the public interest, convenience, and necessity. But since the deregulation of broadcasting under the Carter and Reagan administrations, the FCC is little more than a rubber stamp committee right now.
Well, I don't believe in giving any department of the government too much power, but what you were talking about, some of the things that are on the airwaves, it seems like they're not doing anything about it.
No, they're not. No, they're not. In fact, there are no more standards departments at the television networks. They used to have standards departments to monitor programs, edit programs, and try and keep them in the mainstream of American thought and language, but that's pretty much done with now.
They do not have those in most of them?
No, they don't. They're gone now.
That's really shocking.
Well, it is.
Well, I just wanted to touch on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You know, there was a time in America, and I think we've talked about this here, when if you did a commercial for Ford Motor Company, you would have to wait 10 minutes before you did a commercial for General Motors, and then 10 more for Toyota. Or if you did United Airlines, you'd wait 10 minutes before there'd be American, and 10 minutes for Singapore Airlines. Now, I mean, they just roll them like like roulette wheels. You know, it comes in, buy a Ford, buy a Chevy, buy a Cadillac, buy a Toyota, buy a Mercedes. It's just one after the other. And by the way, we do it here too, you know. But there was a time when stations and networks offered advertisers certain kinds of protections, and when the FCC said maybe it would be in the interest of not only advertisers but listeners not to clutter up the airwaves with too many commercials for too many different products at one time. But that's all by the boards now. There was also a time when if you bought a radio or a TV station in America, you had to hold it for 3 years before you sold it. You had to operate the station. Now they buy them in a month, they go up $100,000, they sell them, make a fast $100,000, and somebody else runs the television and radio station. It's I'll tell you, folks, we're lucky we still have this, you know. We're lucky we have this little channel, that this is left to us from all these deregulations and these people who are making broadcasting less than honest. Marie in Chicago, hello.
Hi, Tom. I agree. Give us the good old days, right?
Well, these are the good old days. And by the way, when we talk about the good old days, America never was what it used to be.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I just called, though, in response to the earlier caller who was fearing that the women are lining up against the men, and I just would like to say that I know there are a great many women who aren't following the Pat Schroeder and Molly Yard types. In fact, I watched Pat Schroeder and her street gang march over to the House of Representatives yesterday.
Oh, you know,
from the House.
Yeah, they marched from the House over to the Senate.
Right, to tell them how to vote.
Yeah.
Or like they used to tell our legislature here in Illinois when the ERA was their big issue, to keep voting until you vote it right.
Yeah, right.
But I just see this whole Clarence Thomas situation as a matter of, I think, Ms. Hill being a jilted lover, because I don't understand how she could have made so many phone calls to him if she really felt she had been harassed in the way that she described. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you know, I was listening to Uncle Rush today, and he was saying he figures that, how did he put it now? Oh, that Hill was trying to lasso Judge Thomas. You've been trying to lasso, yeah. Which, I mean, I don't subscribe to all that. I mean, I really can't wait for these hearings to come up because, you know, we've heard her side. We've seen her on television now. She was on CNN for 45 minutes or so the other day. But I'm very anxious to see how Clarence Thomas is going to present this situation.
Well, okay, but I think there are a lot of us women who see through what we would consider the sleazy Senate to be doing.
All right.
I like it.
Okay, thanks for calling, Marie. All right, bye-bye. Somebody was watching a panel here where and we've talked about this. What would be sexual harassment on the part of a woman to a man? In fact, I think I had this conversation here months ago. Suppose a woman walked in here to work in this office wearing the equivalent of a bikini bathing suit. Would that be sexually harassing me? And this was on television, and the woman said, oh, no. You know, the woman has the right to wear anything she wants, blah, blah, blah. You know, what women don't understand, and I mentioned this here once before, what women don't get is that a woman's body does things to a man. It just does, and you can legislate against it, and you can demonstrate against it, and you can tell us that we're all Neanderthals, but I got to tell you that it is beyond our mental capabilities. Our bodies outrace our mental capabilities. And to make believe otherwise is plain stupid. Like I said to a lady here one night, what women don't get about male sexuality and men's sex drive, and I said, you know how hungry, suppose that you didn't eat food for 3 days, do you have any idea how hungry you would be if a man doesn't have sex for 3 or 4 days? It's about the same craving. But women don't get that, and that's okay that they don't get it, but again, of course, guys don't tell them this either. And by the way, if I'm making this up, may the Lord strike me dead. I also believe that if men wore on public bathing beaches suits that displayed as much of their sexuality as women's bathing suits do of theirs, men would be arrested for indecent exposure. So, you know, ask yourself, how fair is this society, not only to men, not only to women, but to guys too? You know, we all walk in the same path here. All of us, in different ways, are getting reamed. Scott in Houston, Texas. Hello.
Okay, Al.
Okay, Scott.
Recognize my voice.
Do I ever? Because every time we talk, you say, okay, even though sometimes it's not. Go ahead.
Anyway, I want to make a comment dealing with the profession of rhetoric, and even back in Greek and Latin times. And this type of attack that they're making on Justice Thomas is so old that it has a name in Greek and Latin rhetoric.
Which is?
It's called the ad hominem attack. And it's usually considered the refuge of someone who can't make any headway with real argument, so he turns around and begins to attack the man. Ad means against, and hominem means the man.
That's correct. That's Latin. That's right.
And it has always been held in very low esteem in the schools, and it has been treated as a scurrilous trick. And one of the things that a lot of people have observed today, and that I thought myself, is that if she had all of this material, why didn't she come forward with this in the first confirmation hearing? This is a definite point here.
Hey, Scott, my friend. The committee knew about this while Judge Thomas was before it for interrogation. They have known about this for 3 weeks.
Yes.
And it was not brought to their attention by Professor Hill, but rather by somebody who suggested that the FBI interview Professor Hill as part of a routine examination of Clarence Thomas's past employment record. So it's not like she waited till the last minute. The only reason that she went on is somebody from National Public Radio, and what we ought to do here, by the way, is find out who at National Public Radio saw this in a memorandum and said we ought to talk to this Professor Hill about what's going on here. But it wasn't Hill that blew the whistle on Clarence Thomas, who allegedly blew the whistle. Anyway, Scott, thank you for your call. Appreciate you being with us. We'll be right back with more of you on the toll-free exchange after the station break.
Hi, Jack Frost here. You know, before I get too busy with a hard freeze, I wanted to make sure you get to Sears Brand Central, because right now the AT&T cordless telephone 4300 is on sale at Sears, lowest price ever. Just $69.99, save $10 through October 12th. It's got 2-channel selection from the handset, and you can page the handset from the base. Now just $69.99 at Sears Brand Central, the brands you want at the store you trust. Boy, I'd love one, and I could just call you guys. I mean, once you get to know me, Jack Frost, I'm a pretty cool guy.
Do you know there are only 44 sounds in the English language? 44. And when you learn these 44 sounds called phonics, you can read and spell almost everything. That's why Hooked on Phonics is so successful. We've set these 44 sounds to music, making learning to read simple and fun. So get Hooked on Phonics and take the mystery out of learning to read. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Paparazzi, room service, and big hair. Live the dream with the AT&T.
I won!
It Can Happen to Me sweepstakes brought to you by, yes, AT&T. Dig this. We'll fly you to the concert of your choice. Any artist, any group, anywhere in the USA. Crash at fine digs. Arrive in a limo. Rub shoulders backstage with the hip and famous. Really, it'll be all too fabulous. Then grab your passport and get revved up for part 2. Hop a plane to Europe and go to any concerts there. You choose, you cruise. It's not one, but 2 trips in one. The ultimate rock fantasy. And now for how. For details and entry forms, see issues of Rolling Stone, Us, and Entertainment Weekly on sale October 15th. No purchase necessary, void or prohibited. Must be 18 or older to enter. Entry deadline is December 30th, 1991. More hip trips on the way. Hey, with AT&T, it's easy to be well connected. Only for you, only from us. AT&T.
Rolled in at 3:30, kissed my sleeping family. Now it's morning again for my 18 wheels and me. Rolled myself out of bed, threw some Folgers, cleared my head. That aroma comes through wherever I'm heading to. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. As my rig is warming up, I've got time for one more cup. Hug my wife and my son, now I've got to make my morning run. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. See what that aroma can do, reaching out to you. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
You're listening to Service 60 WICC. We are back to Evelyn in Queens, New York. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi. Hi, it's been a very long time, and I've got 3 topics if I can get them in.
All right.
All right, on the credibility gap, I would like to say that during the examination, Thomas has given any number of answers to which the response was, it's hard to believe. Roe versus Wade, etc. So, and he's been coached by a man who's asked us to read his lips. So, I think that we start out with a person who can't be believed. And so I've finished this. As far as I'm concerned,
Okay. Well, there are many people in the legal profession, the legal community, who believe that Clarence Thomas really is not qualified to sit on the United States Supreme Court.
Well, I agree with that. Okay. Now, there is another topic, and that's smoking. You had the Surgeon General on, and he had a question posed to him as to whether there was any evidence of anyone who did not inhale having contracted cancer. And he answered, yes, cancer of the throat or the lips, etc. No, but no lung. He didn't mention lung cancer.
Right.
My answer then is, what about secondhand smoke? Who is more exposed to secondhand smoke than the person who happens not to be inhaling? Therefore,
yeah, but that wasn't the question to him.
No, it wasn't. But my question is, doesn't that almost prove that secondhand smoking doesn't do anything?
Well, I wish I would have thought of that when he was here, but I didn't. What's the next thing?
The next thing is a word. What community do you belong to?
Community.
Uh-huh. You're having a hard time.
Ah, very good, very good.
Yes,
very good.
Answer, the word has been misused in a dreadful way, and people always belong to a community.
It's very good.
They are the black community, they are the Jewish community, they are whatever kind of community, but it's them, not us.
Very good.
And
in other words, when they say it, they are defying the definition of the word. Community means togetherness, does it not?
Yes, but we are not part of a community.
We are the community.
Well, yes, but it's a beautiful word that is not. I think is beginning to get a very bad negative, and it's part of the dividing us.
All right, Evelyn. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Long agenda there tonight for Evelyn. Bill in Dallas. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Let's play out this sexual harassment bit here. What I want to ask is basically what I'd like to do, if Paula can let one female get on before you close tonight, I'd like to get one female to kind of call and give me exactly the scenario of what is really defined as sexual harassment. I mean, to the extent to where a woman is really disrespected, and you could label the person that did it as someone that is lesser of a man than, say, you, presuming that you don't go around sexually harassing people.
Well, you can not only presume that, I can guarantee it to you.
Okay, super. Same here. But, I mean, as growing up, I've looked at girls and I've said, even in my workplace, look at a woman, I'll make a comment, and it might even not be...
What would the comment be, Bill?
I'm sorry?
I say, when you were looking at the woman, what would the comment be that you would make?
Well, it depends on the person.
Well, but
this example, let's say I have a supervisor, right, at work.
Yep.
And as opposed to just saying something like, you have beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah.
Something very tactful.
Yeah.
Let's say that she's referred to how her and her husband have hamburger and get naked night every Friday night. Well, I make some little comment to her like, well, he's a lucky guy. I sure wish you and I could have a hamburger night.
No. Lucky guy is good.
Right.
But then when you say wish you and I could have a hamburger, now we're getting into a dangerous area.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we are trying to suggest to her that instead of being with her husband and getting naked, that you be with you and get naked, and that's not appropriate.
Okay, well, my question is, how serious is it, though? If you imply that...
It's not the seriousness of it, it's the attitude that it represents.
Well, okay, what if just...
Suppose that you were a woman, okay?
Right, okay.
And, I mean, I've talked to women about this, and all their lives, let's say that, you grow up a young woman, and you develop rapidly, and all of a sudden guys are making comments in the schoolyard about your body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Now you go to work, and guys comments. I mean, it becomes a collective thing, and finally, you may be the one guy who says something, and you place the straw on the back of the camel, and it breaks.
Right.
That's what we guys forget.
Well,
I mean, the one comment that we might make to a woman is 10 seconds of our lives, but geez, it's been her whole life since she's developed as a young woman, and she's heard this nonsense.
Okay, so I mean, but does that really say something about the character of that man? Because let's say Judge Clarence Thomas is driving down the freeway, right?
Yeah.
Down L.A., somewhere in L.A. And
he's on the freeway. There's no question about that, and I can tell you where it's going.
And someone gives him the bird. Okay, now that's a disrespectful thing to do to someone.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now I mean, to me, yes, in that quite technically that's disrespectful. But hey, we're only human. We get mad at people, so we do that. And hey, men are only human, and they're attracted to women, as you say.
I understand.
And, I don't know I heard what she said, and Thomas apparently said something to her to the extent of, well, I'd like to do this with you, or I'd like to go out with you or something. She said no, and he started describing videotapes that he had.
Which I can't imagine, because as we all know, no Republicans ever watch a pornographic motion picture. That just never, ever happens in the world.
I mean, and like she never has either, And, yeah, maybe she was disrespected that time, but is it so serious that she feels that this guy shouldn't sit on the Supreme Court because, he made a tacky comment once?
Okay, but what if that comment is indicative of his attitude towards women? Should he be allowed to sit in judgment of a case that might come before the court as it relates to women's rights in this country, and be allowed to make a decision if he does have that attitude? That's the question.
But
Bill, we could keep... Bill,
Yeah.
Read my lips. We will not settle this tonight.
Well, I know we won't.
Thanks for calling, pal.
You betcha.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. We're going to continue with more of you here on Sexual Harassment Update right after these messages.
Do you know there are only 44 sounds in the English language? 44. And when you learn these 44 sounds called phonics, you can read and spell almost everything. That's why Hooked on Phonics is so successful. We've set these 44 sounds to music, making learning to read simple and fun. So get hooked on phonics and take the mystery out of learning to read. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Marie Caruso of West Newton, Massachusetts, is telling us about her skin problems.
I teach, and I teach at a community college. I just developed a jewelry allergy because I was just breaking out exactly where a necklace would be, or a watch would be, or a bracelet, something that's on my skin. It was just a very annoying itch, and it would just itch like anything, and you would scratch till you scrape your skin off your arm.
But Marie Caruso got relief using Triple Action Gold Bond Medicated Powder.
Gold Bond has made itself a part of my life. You don't expect a powder to do what Gold Bond can do. I mean, it's relief. It's great.
Gold Bond's Triple Action is like 3 great powders in one. It has the absorbing action of powder, the medicating action of a proven itch fighter, and the drying action of zinc oxide. That's Triple Action Gold Bond.
The itch! It's gone. Gold Bond is terrific.
Try Triple Action Gold Bond Medicated Powder. Use only as directed. Available at drugstores and supermarkets everywhere.
If you've always wanted a powerful vocabulary, but found most programs boring, try We the People, the cassette program that combines college-level vocabulary with American history. So now, while developing a dynamite vocabulary, you'll become an expert on American history. Get We the People, the vocabulary program that teaches more than just vocabulary. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Okay, identify this. Yep, it's a dying refrigerator. Gave its life for cold cuts. Fortunately, if you weren't emotionally attached, Sears Brand Central can replace it. Until Saturday, there's a Kenmore 18 cubic foot top mount for $419 even. Save $30. All frostless, too. Believe me, that's a real good price for a Kenmore. But it's just till Saturday at Sears Brand Central. The brands you want at the store you trust. Prices may vary in Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico.
I'm with the cereal counter for New Honey Almond Delight, the cereal that's deliciously different.
1, 2, 3,
what are you counting?
4, the sliced almonds.
Sounds tasty.
Crunchy nut clusters.
Ooh, real tasty.
And honey toasted flakes in New Honey Almond Delight.
So tasty, I'll love it.
You've got to try some.
Could I have a few boxes?
How's 3?
How's 3,000?
1, 2,
Could you count a little
3,
faster,
4,
please?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20.
New Honey Almond Delight cereal. It tastes deliciously different.
All right, here is Kevin now in Kearney, New Jersey. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Tom,
Yeah.
how are you? Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Listen, Tom, last Thursday here, on PBS, they aired a show called Edge. Did you happen to see that show?
No, sir.
Okay. They were doing a story. It was kind of like an offbeat current affair topic. It's like kind of like a What's Happening by Salvatore Dali. It was a little strange. They were doing a show about Norman Mailer's, or a segment about Norman Mailer's new book.
Yep.
And there was an old TV clip that they showed just for a second. And it looked to me like a very, very young Tom Snyder.
There's no such person.
I'm talking Clark here, Tom. Did you ever interview?
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on the Tomorrow Show years ago.
I'm sure it was you, and that bugged me ever since I saw that. I wanted to be, I didn't know if it was you, I just wanted to check.
It was not your imagination, sir.
Okay, very good.
All right, thanks.
Listen, Tom.
Yeah, one more thing.
One other thing. One more thing.
We ought to call this the Columbo Law. You know, it's just one more thing.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'll tell you, there is another thing that's been bothering me for about 4 years.
Well, let's get it taken care of. This could be like the itch where you scratch the skin off your arm, and I don't want that.
Right. I don't want to do that either.
No.
Can you ever tell me whatever happened to Ira Festel?
Ira Festel is alive and well on radio in Los Angeles, California. He's on the ABC station here locally from 9 to midnight every night and has an enormous following.
Boy, I sure wish they'd air him out here on the East Coast.
Well, maybe they will again someday.
Okay, Tom, take care.
He's the guy, he does a lot of stuff on train trips and stuff, doesn't he?
Yes.
Train stations, train trips, stuff.
He's very knowledgeable about a lot of things.
Yes, he is.
And interesting to listen to.
Maybe we'll get him on here some night.
Oh, would you?
Yeah.
That'd be terrific for us.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that because he has not been heard across the country for some time. Okay, I'll do the best I can. All right, pal.
Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye. Where are they now? Ira Festel. It's like the guy who called the other night about the Three Stooges. Where are they now? They're dead. And remember, when you watch them on television, as funny as they are, they're all dead. Tomorrow night here, the strange radio of Dr. Demento. You think this is weird. Wait till this guy comes on. Then Friday night, 50 years of sports broadcasting with Les Kiter, and before your very eyes, we will recreate a baseball game as they used to in the good old days. You will imagine that you're at the ballpark, but you're right here in the studio. Thank you all for listening. I'm T.S., and this has been the Wednesday Night Radio Show for October 9, 1991, out of ABC in Los Angeles, California, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. Sweet dreams and sleep tight, America. Thanks for listening, everybody.